Hello and welcome everyone to the Collegiate Chess League's Spring 2024 season presented by SIG. This is Division 8 semifinals between Sacred Heart University and Washington State University. They've just begun their match, so let's dive right in. Here we have Ryan Richter, who is from Sacred Heart. He's board 4. He's taking on the board number 1, Major Gambit Disorder, who I do not have listed on this scoreboard. So I'm going to have to figure out why that is. This is Drew Bunch. Must have changed his username. Just a hunch for Drew Bunch. Yeah. So we'll check that out. Hello, Aces Hearts. You were watching earlier today, which is very much appreciated, but I have to ask what school you go to, if you go to a school. Yes, this is the same player. They just changed their username. Okay, good to know. Looks like they've changed their name a few times, perhaps, but anyways, I'm going to update this where I see it. Major Gambit Disorder. Which is a long name. It just barely doesn't fit on the scoreboard. That's okay. So is Washington State. I had to abbreviate state to ST, which some people might think is Saint, but it's Saturday and it's late. Yeah, 8 p.m. Eastern is when these two teams agreed to play. It's only 5 o'clock for me, so after this I'll probably go get dinner. But watch out. F7 hit 3 times. Count them. Only defended twice. Now, bishop takes, you get yourself into a little bit of a pin here, but the king is forced away, and then maybe we can go for a queen trade. But also, black has an attack going on their own, threatening h3, which is defended, but knight comes back to defend, but this does disconnect the rooks. Knight also conveniently defending this pawn, and perhaps the bishop can be kicked away. So don't go here. Instead going here, bishop can retreat if needed. This knight can't really go forward. This rook not playing. But Major Gambit Disorder 2096 should be a clear favorite for this one. And looks like defending quite well. Knight back, and now bishop's traded off. Knight coming in. Let's check in on the other game we have here. Time Play 23 versus Shamas. You're right on time, Cassandra. Welcome. You haven't missed any of the results yet. There are 2 more games that I don't see. Let me see if I can follow. We see the bottom 2 boards from Sacred Heart. We're missing the top 2. Looks like Mark isn't quite there yet. And Brent, oh, we have a resignation. Wow. Early. This is only 20 moves in. Let's see how this one panned out. Check, king in the corner. Knight check, queen takes. So that's a free piece. We love free pieces. A couple more trades. And then at this stage, Shamas had enough. So Shamas goes down to time play. That is Brian Lee, who is the team captain for Washington State. All right. Let me try to follow. I mean, I should already be following Brent. Here it is. Here's his game, which leaves us one last game remaining. Marks the top board for Sacred Heart. Looks like he might be a little late, but he has about 10 minutes to make up, to show up. So Fang Hu, Patrick Perry, board 3 for Washington State. He is at 1802. So Washington State, probably the more well-rounded team, but Sacred Heart definitely with the stronger top boards, although Brent and Drew technically have the same exact rating. But Drew here is the top board, number 1 seed for Washington State. Brent is only board 2. And I see we have the fourth and final game has started here. Andrew and Mark. Andrew's the bottom board at 1,500 from Washington State. Mark, top board, perhaps strongest player in all of Division 8, 2349 national master. Could be the key difference maker here. Both of these teams have made it to the semifinals. Let me take a quick look at their bracket, actually, if I can do that. So for Division 8, it looks like Sacred Heart won their group, and they were able to beat Yale by a score of 9-7. Their Connecticut State rivals, or neighbors, maybe is a better way to put it, I should say. And meanwhile, Washington State also had a bye in the first round. I believe probably had second place in their group. They beat University of Massachusetts 10.5 to 5.5, so a much better score. And right now, Washington State is leading 1-0 with a point from their captain, Brian Lee, who I don't think I'm related to, but we do share the same last name. Anyways, Mark, heavy favorite in this matchup here. Brent is also a favorite, about 300 elo difference. So Fang Hu, strong player though, 1,800 plus, has some decent chances statistically to beat a 2,000 rated player. Brent might be a little underrated, just under 2,100. But the other game is about to wrap up here. So Major Gambit Disorder about to find a checkmate, and there it is. So another point for Washington State. The top two boards, swift work of the bottom two boards from Sacred Heart. But the top two boards from Sacred Heart, they're just beginning to get their work started. So looking to even things up here. And looks like we had a sacrifice here from Perry. Queen and bishop doubled up on this diagonal. We see h6, and Perry says, I'm going to just invite my queen into the position. But Brent, who still has a dark square bishop, he underdevelops, but defensively, kicking the queen away and offering this king some extra support. There is no mate on h7. This knight, very importantly, defending that, and the queen defends the knight. So, check. Would be surprised to not see bishop g7, so that's exactly what we see. Now, if this knight were to try to come in at some point, this bishop is always around. So opposite side castles and an aggressive sacrifice from Perry. And honestly, I kind of like it. Exactly. h4, and we're going to see perhaps a rook lift. You don't want to put the rook there right away, but this pawn can prove to be a pest. We might see maybe... Okay, the knights are connecting, but the plan can continue by pushing the h-pawn down the line, and that's exactly what we're seeing. So that frees up this square for both rook and knight, as we couldn't lift the rook here. But, okay, knight here also kind of blocks this bishop as well, so maybe there's a rook lift still. Instead, we see knight here, offering a trade two different ways. We could see knight takes, and then pawn takes will come with a fork. And only then do we trade queens. You don't want to trade queens immediately, because then the knight can save itself, and you've lost your piece. You'll be down 2 pawns. So, how does white respond? You want to keep the queens on the board. Dropping back is not possible. You could go here, but then you're opposite the bishop. And also there's a threat of taking this with a fork, as well as taking this. So probably pawn takes. Or sorry, bishop takes. Although the computer is suggesting knight takes e4 is actually best. D takes, and then they just want to play h6, queen takes, knight takes. and both players will have something hanging. So you shouldn't actually be afraid of the fork because you can get out of it with h6. When you have a threat against yourself, you can get out of it by making threats that are stronger to your opponent. Instead, we see Perry flinches here, retreats the queen. And now this allows for this pawn to be taken with the fork, or we could take here and open up the king and invite the queen in. And that's exactly what Brent goes for. You could have been materialistic, gone for the pawn, gone for the fork, but didn't happen. If knight takes on f2, there could have been a lot of counterattacks. So instead we have this capture. The computer wanted to move queen to f6, persisting for the queen trade. When you're up material, your opponent has sacrificed against you, and you have a weak exposed king, you want to trade the queen. So queen f6 was a high recommendation. In fact, it's still the top recommendation. Instead, we see the knight give itself up. Bishop takes. So didn't want to keep the knight here. Only now playing queen f6. Frankly, you could have just left the knight because you took a piece, right? And this recapture would not have been good for white structure. So if anything, even though the bishop is worse off, the structure is better off. So some pros and cons. We see queen here, and now this just gives up a piece. So I'm not sure Brent's thought process here. And yeah, opponent doesn't punish. This is a free piece here. Free, maybe a strong word, but you do get the pawn, but white does open up the file. Actually, it is a free piece because we're threatening checkmate in 1, and Brent surely sees it. It took me a second, I'm not going to lie. Brent's not playing. He's got 3 minutes to find mate in 1. You guys think he's going to take the pawn? Oh my god, Brent. Oh, Brent's gonna see this in post, and he's gonna be like, wow, I can't believe I missed that. He might see it now. Well, his opponent surely sees it now. So we see mate in 1 defended. Yeah, I mean that one okay. White got away with taking a piece. We see rook takes rook. Very, very low on time. You love to see these sort of blunders be taken advantage of, and to have Perry punish his opponent, Brent, for not playing mates. But I get the feeling that Brent's not going to let this one slip. Good chance that he still converts this. 2 minutes to 7 seconds. But definitely Brent should have seen mate in 1. Okay, king take. I mean, listen. If the queen moves or something, like knight here, you could have issues. No, he just flags. Okay, well, anyways, Brent gets a win. Not the cleanest. Someone will have to tell him afterwards, but he does bring his team back within 1, his first point for the team. And now it's up to Mark, National Master Board 1, to even things up here. All right, so I notice Mark has an extra knight, and his opponent has a pawn to show for it. So, yeah, extra piece, gotta like it. And perhaps a weaker king here for Andrew. I do like white's rooks better, though. I will say these rooks not as good. So rook here, centralizing, improving. One of the worst pieces. This knight also not really showing its strength on the board. When you have extra material, you want to use it. So the knight right now kind of tucked back a little bit in the corner. Okay, pawn push. You can trade with a check, but then you're going to have to deal with this doubled rook setup here. Wow, takes with rook. Not wanting to take with the queen, exposing yourself to more checks. Instead, we see the rook take and utilizing the queen, defending the rook backwards like this. And Mark busts out a couple pre-moves here. Was ready for that, and now the queen steps up, attacking b6. The computer, interestingly, just says rook f8 is fine, but rook here defending the pawn is what I would do. Now, the computer liked queen d8, trading queens. When you're down a knight, you don't really want to trade queens. So we see white avoiding this queen trade. And we see a knight block. So yeah, still not the best place for the knight. This king trying to find some shelter. And now queen to e2 is an aggressive move. Threatens rook takes f2. If queen takes, then there's queen takes pawn. Instead, we see h5 trying to pry open this king who has extended his pawn structure up to g4. And now h5 looks to knock at the door of the white king. Queen now can infiltrate after this rook lift. Rook maybe trying to swing over. Instead, we see a simple capture. Now the rook shuts the door on the queen. But now queen and rook doubled up on the f file. This rook in the way, and no time to recapture now. Well, you can recapture, but it's going to cost you f2. And that's going to come with a whole new plethora of problems. We see the rook coming to the h file and opening up a discovery. Now there is rook b2. Doesn't threaten the queen f2, but it does open up more checks. And that's going to follow with even more checks. So 20 seconds for Andrew. Mark's just trying to find the finishing touches here. Hello, Subam. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. This is a nice little fork attacking the G pawn with a check. Queen could come back down to defend. Doesn't do it. Instead, okay, this is going to be a forced mate. Nicely done from the NM. We see both teams with their top two boards getting the job done against the bottom two boards. We're all evened up here at 2 points apiece going into round two, which should be starting any second now. Brent, if you're listening, I know sometimes Brent listens between rounds. You missed a checkmate in one. But that's okay. You got the job done anyways. They say when you see mate in one, look for better. How's it going? It's going well. This is Division 8 semifinals match that just started. Let me look back at the bracket. Okay, so the winner on the other semifinals, wow, it was not only overtime, it was double overtime. Pittsburgh Panthers beating Far Eastern University D team 13-11. So the winner of this match right now moves on to play against Pittsburgh. And the loser will have to play against Far Eastern's D team. Let me also double check prize fund. That should be interesting. So what are they fighting for in Division 8? I know there's still cash prizes. I believe the cash prizes go up until Division 14, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So Division 8's first place is $400. Second place is $200. So the winner of this match is guaranteed $200. Now, if you lose and you're playing the third place match, third place wins $150, and fourth place gets 3-month diamond memberships for 4 players. So, yeah, not money guaranteed for fourth place right now. So one of these two teams will guarantee themselves $200 with a win. All right, round 2 now underway. We have Ryan versus Brian. Their names rhyme. I don't know what more to say about that. Hey, AK Jet with a huge follow from Athens. Yeah, you guys had good results today, but thanks for the follow. I feel like it's got to be pretty late, right? It's got to be like past midnight. But you know, I stay up pretty late myself. The D2 coverage. Yeah, I was streaming Northwestern's match, so you guys have some footage of your opponent to study. So yeah, we did cover Northwestern. They get the win against UT Dallas's B team, and then I was barely able to watch the overtime the last game of overtime for the other semifinals match between Athens B and Brown. And Brown's top war, Grandmaster Andrew Hong, had a loss in the fourth round to take it to overtime, and then a draw in round five to ultimately lose the match. So, not how Brown wanted to end their season, but a huge result for Athens B. So, yeah, Athens in the money. Although we'll see how it goes next week. But yeah, we're watching Division 8 now. Still some strong players, though. Okay, H3, kind of unprovoked from Brian. And my thought is Queen and Bishop lined up here. If this knight were to move, the king would have to babysit this pawn. Yeah, your board one was very clutch. And apparently so is your sub. So, yes, very dramatic match for sure. Um, Lots of drama trying to figure out if that match could be rescheduled, which ultimately it could not. So, um, but yes, I see in the top games recommendation one of the other CCL players that we were watching earlier. I want to say from Northwestern is playing right now. National Master Nicholas from Northwestern, I think. So that's funny. Anyways, yeah. Andrew Hong's game definitely hits the top of the watch list. His rating's over 3K. I don't know why some of these games I just don't keep following, so I'm gonna try to refollow all of them. Otherwise, it's just the players are not playing. But I have a feeling that the follow is not working. Okay, well, I see a third game. All right, here we have Andrew versus Brent. Brent has improved his rating to 2099, trying to get past 2100, although I have a feeling he can't gain rating from the board 4 here, Andrew. Not sure if it's succeeding. You have intimidation tactics against Dachi. Dachi's a seasoned veteran. He's been around the CCL. This is Athens' first time competing. But Dachi played with UT Austin as board 2. I mentioned this on the show earlier this morning. Okay, so yes, whose game am I missing now? We have Brian Ryan. I'm missing. Okay, we have Mark and Perry. Who does that leave me with? Shamus. Shamus versus Brian? No. Oh, Shamus versus Drew. Yeah. Okay. I think I had the wrong username, but I should have it now. Oh, I still don't see the game. Okay. Never mind. All right, who do we stick with? Top board Mark. Makes a lot of sense. This was a Sicilian. And there goes a rook and a pawn. Takes, yeah. Good material advantage here for Mark. But interestingly, the computer says queen takes, h takes, rook check. Wow. Perry's going for it. I've been calling him Perry. His name's Patrick. But takes, rook check, and it's a perpetual. It is a perpetual. Wow. Mark could. No, I mean, he can't. He can't really. He can't not take the queen. Rook f4. And I mean, maybe, but you don't want to. I mean, wow, it's crazy. He blundered a perpetual. Nice find from Patrick Perry. This would be a huge result for Washington State to get a draw against top board national master Mark. So Mark was doing really good. He won an exchange plus a pawn, but with this one move, yeah, knight. I mean, bishop takes, it worked here too. Queen takes was available here, and just a simple pawn push trying to play for b4. And only now does Patrick Perry find the move. Queen takes, noticing rook h1 defended by the bishop, followed by rook h2. King is caught in a net, can't go forward, can't go back, and blocked in by his own pieces that cannot block. And that is a perpetual. So Mark, he's thinking here, is it really the best that I have? Can I not try to maybe play on here for a win? And frankly, if you play on, that's high risk. That's how you lose in a lot of games. But Mark says no. I will concede the bishop and I will play on from here. So rook lifts, and you could still take the queen and lose your queen, but it's no longer perpetual because then the king will slither his way out of there. So rook comes up defending the h-pawn. Now the knight is going to join in, and well, Mark is now losing. So the price he has to pay, he puts the king on the h-file. Knight g6 though, no brainer. And we'll see if Patrick Perry, so we see now Mark is trying to give up an exchange. There's also knight takes on e5, by the way. Yeah. This is crazy. This could be a massive upset. Instead of taking the draw, and it's tough. I mean, look at all of these forks. Knight takes d3 was a bit better. So Mark goes from being up an exchange and a pawn to now down an exchange. Not down, well, down 3 points of material, but it's a bishop. So he's down a piece. He kicks the bishop back. Rook to the e file. I mean, let's see if Mark can do something with this. I admire the confidence, but I can't help but think this is gonna potentially burn his team if it costs him the full point. Yeah, AK Jet. Probably I will not be covering Division 3, but you never know. You never know. I'll keep you on your... No, there's probably not going to be a D3 broadcast. Okay. I missed out on Brent's game. Somehow. Where did it go? Brent beats Andrew. And I haven't seen Brent's in the chat yet. But Brent's gives Sacred Heart their first lead of 1 point. Okay, what's happening here? Major Gambit Disorder looks to be up. Yeah, King uncastled. Queen takes on g7. This pawn is hanging. Gives a check. Queen takes, prevents castling. Maybe the queen tries to flush the queen out. Yep, we see the queen come back. Major Gambit Disorder is up material. Trading would simplify. Rook takes. This pawn is weak, but also it boxes out the bishop. So bishop comes out here, and now this frees up the rooks to try to come in. We see a queen trade and a castle, and now the rook is here to defend. So the bishop can come back, but very passive for sure. And this bishop can come up and scoop up the pawn. So, yeah, 1 pawn advantage looking to go for 2 pawns. Let's check in on the Ryan-Brian match. Okay, well, there's a queen. So Brian's looking good. Brian is the heavy favorite, though, in terms of rating. So let's see where the Bota's gambit occurred. Huge center for white. Pawn push. Knight hopping in. There's a fork. And there is a pin. So there goes the queen. After you push the F pawn, opens up the diagonal. And there you have checkmate. So Brian, team captain for Washington State, evens it up. Let's see how Mark is making progress. Oh my God, Mark's winning. There's one move, and it's trading. So the extra bishop, we see a trade, and now the A file is opened up. There go the rooks, there goes the queen trade, and this pawn is unstoppable. So Mark blunders a piece for perpetual. He opts for more, and he gets rewarded for his strong play. And we see black trying to stir up some trouble, but it's not going to be enough. You can push. He takes. Wow, d3, and now they're actually both queening. Wow, he should not have taken. It's now better for black. Holy smokes. b6, king has to go. King steps up here, wisely so. Computer wanted b7. Oh my God. Mark is losing. Oh, Mark, you had to ignore that pawn. You had to go for the queen. Oh my goodness. National Master's going to go down. Got to work on those pawn endgames, I guess. Oh my goodness. He resigns. Wow. Let's go back real quick. Look at this desperado here from Patrick. If he pushes, takes or push, he queens, and this pawn is too far. Even if push, queen, push, you're very much in time to stop this. When you take, you now give black the move. You haven't moved your pawn. And so now both sides queen, but black still has the extra pawn. So big mistake there from Mark in time pressure. Wow. So Mark goes down to Patrick Perry, board 3, who finds the brilliant queen sacrifice that led to perpetual along the H file. Mark goes for more, which turned out to be the right decision had he not blundered that endgame with the pawns. Mark captured instead of pushing, and it cost him dearly. So, crazy, crazy game. And Washington State finds themselves with the lead. And that is a huge point swing because it's a 2-point differential. If he wins that, it's going to be tied. But no, top board going to make swift work here of board 3 from Sacred Heart. Major gambit disorder up 2 pawns. I'm expecting f4. f4 on the board. And now if the rook goes to g6, we can play g5. Rook goes all the way back to g8. King is now entering the center. This should be swift work here for the white side, up 2 pawns. Kicking the bishop back. I wonder what would you do if bishop g2 though. Yeah, bishop g2, I don't know. Anyways, Yes. Nice fifth rank here for the rook. King up, there's this interesting fork. I guess the king would be back in time to catch it, but you could at least entertain the idea. But okay. Rook infiltrates to d1, but this rook's going to go after these guys. So we don't really care too much about these guys. This falls with check. This is now 2 squares away from queening. But yeah, Mark, honestly, that's a huge issue for the Sacred Heart team because the Sacred Heart team is built with their top 2 boards being very heavy on the rating. And we're threatening a check. King has to step up. Doesn't really matter though, because the rook can just go anywhere without check. So this should be good for Drew. We see resigns. And with that, the second round proves to be a big round for Washington State, getting a huge upset point from their board 3, taking down Mark, the top board in this matchup. And 2-point lead now for Washington State. So Sacred Heart, they have some catch-up work to do. They're definitely dependent on the top boards for success because of the huge rating gap between their boards 2 and 3. So they could still get an upset somewhere on their bottom boards. It's tough though when your team is like built like this. It's a lot of pressure on the top boards. There's not a lot of rooms for mistakes. Mark could have gotten away with 1, but he couldn't get away from 2. All right, second half of the match about to begin. We have 8 games left in this matchup. Washington State only needs 3.5 to win, to clinch. Can Sacred Heart bring it back? Let me make sure the players may be taking a little break. Halftime show. I don't have I don't have halftime entertainment. I just have to wait for the games to go. We don't have time for halftime. All right, here we go. Ryan versus Patrick. Could Ryan be the hero and get an upset win somewhere? I believe in him. We have all 4 games underway, which is great news. We have Mark versus Time Play. Now, Mark really needs to continue getting points. If he drops another point, it's practically over for Sacred Heart. So that's been Sacred Heart's recipe for success this season has been perfection from the top 2 boards and then upset from the bottom 2 boards. So it's been working out for them. They basically need an upset on one of the boards to do well. And in this case, they need an upset to even things back up. So they're used to getting an upset somewhere from one of their bottom 2 boards. And they really need it now to bring it back to even. But they always run the risk of, if the other team plays well, then their bottom 2 boards will have a tough time because they're just outrated in like every single matchup. We could look at the bottom board. Shamas is actually higher rated here than Andrew. So there is a chance here in these last two rounds. Even Ryan versus Andrew, there's a chance. So this Washington State team is going to look to Andrew, their board 4, to come up clutch for them to hold on to this lead. But of course, anything can happen with the top boards because even though Mark is the strongest player, we've seen him go down to one of the bottom boards. And here we have Major Gambit versus Brent, who's now at 2,100. He's only 3 elo favorite. So, yeah, Brent's castled. He's not falling for the bait. He's not going to take... Well, I guess the knight's defense. He's not taking a capture. No, he's not capturing a definitive. If the knight were to move, this would be bait. Because bishop takes sacrifice, I guess is what I was going for. Forgot it was defended. But bishop here maybe looks to remove the defender, although it also removes this queen discovery. So looking for the fianchetto, still tactics that Brent is aware of, I'm sure. If you don't defend this bishop, takes, you'd have to take back with the pawn, which you don't really want to do. But it would take 2 moves to do this, and it's white's turn, so I suspect that won't be an issue. Bishop tucks back, and this bishop fianchettos. Not really looking to take the knights, as this is a really strong piece. So just putting the bishop on a really strong diagonal. We see rook opposite the queen, lining up this same tactic. It'd be pretty bad if Brent blundered this after I had pointed it out like 4 moves ago. No, we see queen to c7, maybe bringing the other rook to the d file. So yeah, this is a really important game. This one, and like the bottom board for Washington State, lots of points on the line in this round. And it's going to set up for a dramatic 4th round finish. So right now, looks like no significant advantage for either side on these games. We can't forget about the other boards, of course. 1960, Brian, team captain. Looks like he's actually doing well against Mark. So Mark is the higher rated player and the stronger player and the player with the title. But I feel that Brent always performs better despite being board 2 for the Sacred Heart team. So maybe speed chess, not Mark's forte. I want to look at how this game went. White has maybe a slight edge with that d5 pawn in the center. We see some trades. Oh, an exchange sacrifice from Mark. Takes bishop back. Okay. Wow. An unprompted exchange sacrifice. That is kind of crazy. But maybe just too strong of a knight. I don't know. Okay, b4. This is now a connected pass pawn. Okay, it's not connected anymore. It was a good pawn on c5. Now it's a little stranded, some could say. Little isolated. Yeah, I'm not liking Mark's chances here, if I can be honest with you all. Mark really needed to play a little bit more solid, I think, after his loss in the previous round. So Mark is going all out. Yeah. And really not even in time pressure for either of these players. They could have slowed down a little bit. I think if Mark loses 2 games in this matchup before round 4, that seems really difficult for Sacred Heart. We could see Sacred Heart's run come to an end here early. Black's threatening mate, but of course there's a queen trade. Also, this bishop's hanging. So, yeah, very interesting Here, oh my god, we just blundered mate in one. Oh, major gambit disorder. Had a major malfunction. Okay, well, Brent apologizing in the game chat saying sorry. Brent missed mate one earlier, but not in this game. So, and that was against the top board. So Brent improves to 3 out of 3, going for a perfect match as he always does every week. But yes, White's still up in exchange here, still looking good. This pawn is good as gone. Some attack maybe, but it's tough when you're down in exchange. Let's look at Ryan versus Patrick Perry, and it looks good for White here actually. Wait, so okay, bishop takes, well, what's going on here? He picks up the e pawn. Trade, rook takes. No, this is looking really good for Ryan. This is the comeback upset game that Sacred Heart needed. Watch out for back rank. So extra pawn, can it be converted? It's not so easy, but we see the trade. You could try to trade queens into a better pawn endgame. Honestly, a draw even would be good for Washington State. But a draw would also be good for Ryan. So leaving queens on is the right choice. Pawn to f3. So yeah, black's going to have to sit tight here and maybe try to find a way in with the queen. White, meanwhile, is going to have to try to force something here. So king steps up kind of bravely. This king steps up. It's less brave when this king does it because this king is a bit more protected. Okay, offering queen trade here, also attacking this. You have a check, and it's been played. And maybe we play here. Prevents the queen from infiltrating. You do want to guard the pawn, though. So, yes, g3 played. I gotta look at the bottom boards. Shamas doing well. Man, this match might be a little bit closer than I thought. I think Mark might lose the second time, but his bottom two boards are trying to pick up his slack. Shamas is looking great here. And it makes sense. I mean, Shamas is 50-point favorite. 50 ELO, I should say. It's not that big, but it is an even strength matchup here. Oh, queen here. There's maybe some ideas. No, the queen's defended anyways, but computer likes queen d2, pinning along the d file. Yeah, these Sacred Heart games, they're fought and won by the bottom boards. I mean, of course, Brent and Mark have to do their fair share. They do like a majority of the heavy lifting. They'll go 4 for 4, and their team has 8 points, and then they'll get a draw on one of the bottom boards. They'll have one player get swept, and then they'll have another player get like a draw. And then they'll win the match 8.5 to 7.5. It sounds like I'm joking, but you could ask them. That's been okay. Ryan Richter up a pawn. You don't want to go for a draw, buddy. You're winning. Okay. Well, okay. The opponent. This is an 1800 versus a 1300. As a reminder, I have to remind myself, frankly. Okay. Queen trying to infiltrate. Queen to d5 very wisely. I'm thinking a little f4 action. King up. Okay. I like it. I'm thinking f4. It could be risky. Queen over. Looking for more checks. I would be pretty nervous if I was a 1300. Truthfully. You got to go back to d5. If you give a check. Okay. Wait, but you dropped the pawn. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. It's even now. It's even now, but he's got 20 seconds. And now it's Fang who might be going for more. Check. Uh-oh. Yeah, go for the draw. Well, okay. Going for the win. Here, check. More checks. This should be perpet. Yeah, he's going to take the draw. He's going to take the draw. He's happy with the draw. All right, time scramble here. How's Mark doing from down in exchange? Queen b6, apparently only good move for white. Now it's back to even. Low time for both players. Computer says it's a draw, but 5 seconds for Brian. And pawn push, he's going for mate, but it's not there. Computer now loves white's position. Do the players know it? It's not clear. Yeah, this bishop, MVP right here. This guy preventing checkmate. Queen check, king runs away. It's very counterintuitive how safe this king is. Pawn push, queen check, king over. This check is guarded. Rook here, trying to go after this. Oh, that's a blunder. King here, mate in one. Rook lifts, now the king runs. Knight in. Oh my god, queen h2. 10 seconds. He missed it. He gives up the g-pawn. Come on, Mark. Wait, so Shamus gets a huge point. Ryan gets a draw against Perry. So it's all tied up now with Shamus' point. But Mark is going to go down. Again, back-to-back games with multiple chances in each. There's always a block here. The rook's defending. He's trying to pin the... He blunders rook h3! Oh my goodness. Oh, but he trades. He shouldn't have done that. He had probably a knight check. It's 2 minor pieces versus a rook. But the rook's going to get the pawn. Oh, but he doesn't take the pawn. Pushing. Fork. Takes. That pawn's very well defended. Mark, can he improve on his in-game technique here from the previous round? 20 seconds. They do have increments. He brings the king all the way back. I guess he's going after the rook. This rook could always attack the pawn, but the king is always there. King comes back. Knight defends the bishop. Yes, king wants to go here. We have a check. Now the king is entering. Rook comes all the way over. King wants to come here. Knight, or the king boxes our king out. We have one check. Given. Reroutes. Defending everything except this pawn. King comes back. This should be good for black. 2 minor pieces better than a rook and the extra pawn. The question becomes, how can you convert? Knight comes back. Ooh. Wait. Oh, that was a free rook. That was just a free rook. Okay, but there goes this pawn. Oh, but there goes that pawn. That was a trade. I don't think Mark wanted that necessarily. Mark has to convert this. He had a free rook. Don't go back. I think Brian's going to flag. Okay. Watch out for forks. It's very important that you have the extra pawn. Because, like, even if you win the rook, you would have to know this knights and bishop mates, which is not so easy. Here, pawn comes with check. Computer didn't like that. King to c4. There's another check. King goes back. Computer doesn't like that either. Pawn push. The computer hates it. King e3. And now there's the threads. Rook. No, rook takes doesn't even work. Because the pawn is so good. But this king is defending everything. Check. Do you try? No. Okay. Here, don't go here. You get forked. Oh, it's not so easy, guys. The pieces are running out of squares. Knight here. Check. Here. No check here. That's another free rook! Take the free rook! Take it. Take it. Do your bishop and knight mate. Oh my god. This guy's a national master, by the way. NM, by the way. Twice. Actually, probably more than that. A couple times. Take the pawn, dude. Yes. Okay, Mark. This is... Okay, now you're going to lose. Rook d4 was a fork. He's really trying for forks. I mean, to be fair, the guy did blunder his rook a couple times, so I don't blame him. But at the same time... Oh my god, knight g6 was a fork. That was exactly what he needed. I don't know what I'm watching anymore. This is too much. It's too much. Bishop block. Don't go to G. Okay, yeah. Jeez Louise. Mark, what are we watching? All right. Big results there for Brian. Although Brian was winning a lot earlier on, but we're all tied up here at 6 points each. What a crazy round that was. Being down 2 points, Sacred Heart makes up for it with the win from Aiden Shamas and 2 draws from Ryan Richter and Mark Dodona. It's all evened up here going into round 4. Yeah, what happens in round 4 will determine the victor of this match, who will move on to the finals where they face against Pittsburgh for a chance of $400, guaranteeing themselves $200. Or will we see overtime? Will it be all knotted up 8-8? We will find out in just a moment. 4 games remaining in this match. I'm suspecting more drama. Mark is not going to be pleased when he reviews that game. Yeah, not the best technique. This is the semifinals. The players need to be at their peak. I know Mark's better than this. Honestly, the best would have been if he had found the fork and had the fork. We could have seen Mark show off his knight and bishop mating technique. Start the 50 move counter. That would have been something else. I have a feeling we could have seen that played out and then botched, perhaps. I've definitely learned it at one point. I don't know how if I could do it again in time pressure, but I like to think that I could. Who knows? Anyways. All right, I'm waiting for round 4. I suspect it takes the players a little bit of time to submit scores and then start their next games. So, should I do a prediction in the chat? During the break. Maybe. All right, the round has started. Big one here between Andrew and Ryan. We have a prediction in the chat. Who's going to win, Sacred Heart University or Washington State University? Predict the future and be rewarded. I have 3 games underway. This game was aborted. Mark with the white pieces. This game also aborted. Now Mark with the black pieces. Oh, he's playing Big Boss from Canada. That game also aborted. That game would not have counted for the match. You must play your opponent. They're figuring it out. Let's look at Brent's game versus Brian. Brian just had a huge draw against Mark. Yeah, very big drama. Very big drama. Mark had that nice queen pin on the rook to take on, like, what was it? H3, I think. So that led to his winning position. But yeah, Mark has squandered a couple wins now, actually, in back-to-back rounds. So he finally gets his game going. That's going to be a big one. Every game now of utmost significance. We have Patrick Perry versus Shamus. Board threes going at it. Perry, he's a big favorite here, 1800. But the problem is he got a draw in the last round after losing a pawn in the middle game. So Ryan Richter was able to hold that at 1300. So let's see how he does against Andrew, who lost to Aiden in the previous round. So Andrew's going to have to come back here and try to get some points against this board four. Chuck is all in. All right, this is already a big mistake. Wow. Knight here, knight takes, bishop takes, queen takes, pawn takes, and now queen takes on g2 with more checks to follow suit. Ryan's looking... Wait, this is not a check, ladies and gentlemen. I just pointed out Botez Gambit, which means if I thought it, then... Well, okay, probably castles. Low key. Then there goes another pawn. No, Ryan's looking great here. Ryan is looking great. He's well primed. This was not a good timed move here from Andrew. Knight in the center, allowing for these trades, activating the queen along the main diagonal, and separating, isolating our pawns, and losing a pawn that was very important for our king's safety, and comes with a... Okay, he's baiting this check. I swear if he does that, I don't know what I will do. Probably we won't see it because it took white a long time to play this move. Imagine. No. We're not going to see that. Okay, queen bag, of course. Okay, yeah, this guy is good. Ryan's a good player. He drew the 1800 in the previous round. He should be able to mop up the remaining pawns. They're all separated. Look, every single pawn. Okay, never mind. These pawns are together. Oh, he helps him out a lot. Trading off queens when the king was so exposed probably was not the way forward. So Ryan with the ill-advised queen trade, I will say. Now this rook can be very happy on the c file, on the 7th, I should say. It's on both. It's on the 7th and on the c file. All right. Yeah. Pawns are pushing. Rook gets behind this guy. Yeah, white's going to get the pawn back. Uh-oh. Ryan giving up a lot of his advantage into an even endgame. Lots of trades. So Andrew maybe getting bailed out. You got to learn when to trade queens, because that was not one of those times. When you see a king uncastled, you don't, and your king is very safe. Yeah. So this position's all knotted up. It's going to come down to whoever blunders, which, who knows? All right, the predictions are in. Let's check in with Mark. These are the top two boards. So it looks like Sacred Heart is the 80% favorite from AK Jet. And how much is all in for you, Chuck? I feel like it's not a lot of points. AK Jet believes in Mark. Despite his last two rounds, this is his toughest opponent. Mark's been shaky throughout this entire match. Called out. Okay, Chuck voted for Washington State, but there were not a lot of points invested in them. He must be good. You're 2-4 against him in the pool. Okay. Um, let's check in with Brent. Brent is the only player so far with a perfect score. Brian from Washington State, he's 2.5 out of 3. So both of these players haven't lost yet. These are the top point scorers for both teams. You're poor? That's okay. You have a chance to win some money. When I say money, I mean channel points. But now's your opportunity to get back in it. This looks pretty knotted up here. Some space on the king side for black. But it's not clear if there's going to be any breakthroughs. Where's the progress going to be made? I like the rooks here for Brent. Bishop offers some extra support for the knight so that the queen is freed. I would consider rook c7 or rook c8. One of these two. Rook c7 makes a lot of sense. It's been played. Rook here, probably pawn attacking the queen. You don't go here. Big blunder. For fit checks. Let's not Oh, you don't take the pawn either because of the same idea. Actually, we have knight take. Wait. Could we have not taken this? What happens if we took? If we took, there would be knight takes this away. Okay, so queen offers a trade here. Knight f3, we had knight takes f3 back. So that would have been a blunder for black, but the threat was knight h3. Check. So very important detail. Okay, queen declines the trade. I do like me some rook d7, rook back to c7 action. Also, bishop here is very interesting, and it's been played. 4 a.m. Yes, it's late in Athens. Okay, I like this move. Queen e8 though is a pen. Well, okay, we are defended, but I love Brent's time management. I think that's going to be the significant factor that determines this game. Speaking of which, look at Mark, who's losing, but he's got a lot of time on his hands. Over 4 minutes to under a minute. So, yes, this pawn is threatened with a massive fork. This is a triple up here on the d file. So, very weak king for Mark. But hey, his time management looking pretty good. Queen d3 infiltrated. There goes c3. So, with the increment, Drew should be able to hold this. This is a connected pass pawn. This is a falling pawn. Mark, in true Mark fashion, going all out, desperado, trying to open up this king. He's got the pawn to f5, which is honestly pretty nice. Queen takes e5. You could give up the knight, interestingly. Here instead, saying, all right, take my knight. I'll take your rook with the queen to follow. So, really strong move. Probably you got to defend this guy, right? What else? Someone said they believed in Mark. Mark has only won his first game against the lowest rated player. And now he's up against the strongest player. And he is losing. Despite his time. I mean, I'm playing rookie too. I don't see what else. Rookie 2, the problem is knight here. Say hello. And oh, you're losing the house. You're losing the house with rookie 2. That's why he hasn't played it. Rook to c2. Well, computer likes queen takes e5. Queen takes works as well. Okay, takes here. Yeah, taking. Probably not very smart, but okay, takes here. Okay, he's going to try to get a new queen, but no, this is game over. This is resigns. Oh, we have some results. So Mark goes down. Top War gets a point. Shamas gets a huge win, actually. So it's back to even. And Andrew and Ryan draw. And with that, oh my God, Brent just blundered? Wait. It's 7.5, 7.5. No, 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 no. What happened in this game? This is fairly even. Trade, rook in. Queen trade, takes a pawn. Takes a pawn. Takes a pawn with check. Looking good for Brent. And yeah, Brent could win this for his team. So really good results from Aiden and Ryan. Ryan getting 2 draws, Aiden getting 2 wins. 2 seconds now for Brian. Team captain from Washington State. Match on the line, season on the line. 1 minute for Brent. He's up 2 pawns. Can Brian hold this to a draw? With 1 second remaining, he's going to flag. 2.5 seconds with the bishop move. He's looking for bishop d1, looking to win material. A draw would hold and send this match to overtime. Brent could win it for his team. He's going all out. He's pushing the pawns. Pawn, we see a trade. King e3, there's always a check. King goes down. The king steps up. And now it's black. Brian is pushing for the win. This trade inviting the king in. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is dangerous for Brent, who is now less than 20 seconds. This is not where the king wanted to go. The king should have gone up. And yes, you get checked, but maybe you come back. We have check, king in. Listen, that's a checkmate threat. The king is abandoning ship. Down goes the bishop. The g-pawn putting on his track shoes. He's running. He's going for checkmate. Not for he's wait. He could have played king f2. He could have prevented the rook from the g-file. And now the pawn is there. And now this pawn is running. Brent, he was perfect so far. 3 for 3. And he was better here, if not even. And the tides have turned so quickly and devastatingly. Black is queening. There's nothing Brent can do. They haven't queened yet. They should have queened. It's not going to matter. He's hoping for a stalemate. That's his only hope to send this match to overtime. But in the last moment, okay, he's still not queening. He's taken every check. Where's the stalemate? Where's the Rosen trap? Can he find one? No. Brian's going to clutch it up as team captain. He's not even promoting still. He's putting every pawn in. Yes. Well, this is unfortunate. It's mate next. Oh, Sacred Heart in the last game, the last moment, in time pressure, Brent's unable to sweep, and it cost his team dearly. But frankly, some would say it's not all on Brent's fault, of course. It's a team match, so Brent played well. He was the point scorer for their team, 3 points out of 4, but not enough. Brian Lee, team captain from Washington State, puts the team on his back in the final game. He goes 3.5 out of 4, only getting a draw against the top board from Sacred Heart, and ultimately wins the team match 8.5, 7.5. They move on to the finals next week against Pittsburgh. They've clinched $200 at a minimum and a chance for $400 if they win next weekend. So congratulations to them and good luck moving forward. This isn't the end of the line for Sacred Heart. They still have the 3rd place match to be played next week against Far Eastern University's D team for a chance of $150, but definitely not how Sacred Heart wanted it to finish. But yeah, crazy match. Tied after the first, a point lead for Washington State, or 2-point lead really in second round, and then Sacred Heart ties it up in the 3rd round. tied all the way to the last game in the fourth round, and Brent unable to close it out. So yeah, tough luck in a lot of games actually, but it all came down to the wire there last game, and Brian, team captain from Washington State, clutches out the dub, taking advantage of a couple key moments in a time scramble against Brent. So congratulations to both teams. That was a fun match. I'll pay out the predictions, but that's it for me today. Stick around for some more matches probably tomorrow, and we'll send you guys off on a raid. So thank everyone for being here, and I will see you all. I'll probably be streaming on my own channel later tonight. I'm gonna go get dinner. All right, much love. Take care, and see you all later.